Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm very glad to see Nick and Bruno, and I just made a quick appearance for the last Wednesday webinar of the year. So thank you guys for letting me into the meeting. I was worried that like I'm going to come in and you're going to be like, who is this person trying to hijack our webinar? So thank you for letting me in.
Hey, Cilna, you well?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Nick,
Also good.
how's Cape Town?
Little overcast today, but we hope that clears up by the weekend when it matters.
You're not allowed to complain. You're in Cape Town.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, Bruno, we can't really complain either. We have like an ocean right here running.
Oh yeah, no,
Through
our own little
Josie,
ocean.
so
Yeah.
we have our own ocean. Thank you very Nick, it's so nice to see you. It's weird though to, not be in the same office as you. So it's pleasant to see you on a webinar. It feels like this is the only way I'm seeing you this month.
It's fine. I'll be back soon enough. Unfortunately, I only got another week here, so sad times.
So grateful. So you can come back now. Hey, you out of the dog box. You can return again. It's safe.
Cool.
Sure, guys. So it's the 14th of December. In other words, 10 days until Christmas Eve. Have you guys done your Christmas shopping?
Nope.
I did for my not legal mother-in-law. I already have a gift for her, and this is how we know where priorities lie. Thank you, Makoti of the year. That's the only gift I have.
No, so it's going to be a day before shopping spree. But remember, like we're still working. We're still working like this week and next week. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Are you closing between Christmas and New Year?
So we got skeleton staff. It's very similar to you guys. So we have a team there. They deal with urgent and any new stuff that comes in. But yeah, it's minimalistic.
Speaking of urgents, please, and then I'll keep quiet. This time of the year is urgent time of the year, Nick. And we all know that. So for our viewers' benefit, the reason why this time of the year is called urgent time of the year is nothing that happens in our offices this time of the year is even remotely normal. The weirdest cases, and everything is super urgent. Now, Nick, I know about a few urgents that you've had. Bruno, I even know about an urgent you almost had, but be that as it may, we'll leave that one out of the conversation. Sure. But please tell a fun story, each one of you, for our viewers' benefit, on the urgents we've seen in the past months or so, this silly season urgents. What are the kind of things that we're seeing?
Nick, do you want to start?
I can start with our Cape Town urgent that we had, 2 weeks ago. Luckily, it doesn't look like it might need to go to court, but there was a tenant who unfortunately decided that he wanted to flood the floors, and a report from a architect who supposes that the reason that he wanted to do that was because he started a fire in the shower. That's yeah, that was an actual architectural report I read. So yes, very much silly season in December.
That's intriguing.
Yeah.
I have questions about this fire in the shower. Was the intention to bribe? Because I can respect that in a way. If it's raining,
it'd be so
you don't
easy
have
to
a
clean up. You dry in the shower and you just wash the ash away. That's actually quite smart.
I think from a professional standard, we're not going to recommend it. You might scare a couple of our clients away.
But what was the intention, Nick? Why did they want to make a fire in the shower? Like,
we don't know.
Also, second question, did they have a plastic shower curtain? Because that, viewers, would be very dangerous. Plastic does in fact catch fire.
No, sure. Unfortunately, we don't know. We will never know.
That's pretty well.
So funny story from my side. You guys know the funny story, so I'm not going to speak about that one. But the actually, we're doing an urgent right now. It's turned into about 5 urgents. So I think in the last 2 months, we've opened 9 files on this thing. And it's one of those. So, you know, that, and I mean, when you ask about what the outlook for the year is, I'll actually go through this very similar type of thing. But properties being repossessed, previous owners. And yeah, this thing was absolutely insane. So we got the eviction was and I can understand the client's frustration. I actually feel bad for the client. Eviction dragged out through court. The guys kept fighting, firing attorneys, bringing attorneys, you know, you name it. Eventually, they don't appear in court. Order gets granted, about to get executed. They bring an application for rescission of judgment, application for suspension of the order. That they lose. They bring an application for leave to appeal their loss. They then bring another application for leave to appeal the eviction order, even though there's a rescission pending on it. So yeah, it's been quite interesting. I think moral of the story though is, number one, silly season. So it's absolutely insane. The client's obviously putting a lot of pressure. So we've literally been in urgent court like every 2 days with this thing. But it also shows again where we're going from an outlook perspective. But I suppose that's the next question that we're probably going to speak about. So yeah, it's been an interesting year.
It has been, hey? It has been a particularly interesting year.
And your story?
Urgent stories. I must say at this stage, I think my favorite one was actually the one Nick told the story about. The other urgents that we're seeing this time of the year is, I think you see them as much as we do. Orders that were supposed to be executed, and as soon as you send the sheriff, somebody pops up and tries to stop the order.
Yeah,
I must say that it's sad to see how emotional play comes into these things. Like the one urgent I'm thinking about now was sort of in the middle of November, and in the sheriff, but the court gave them like more than a month to vacate, and we told him like, listen, you had time to vacate. We're sending the sheriff now to do the eviction. Really, it's go time. So they came back and said, no, we can't evict them because they've already put up the Christmas tree. And I think the one thing that I thought was important to know here is, it's still November. A, B, if you're getting evicted and there is a court order, the thing is there's no stopping execution of your order. So to not do anything about it and think, you know what, it's cool, I'm just going to hang and nobody can evict me. It's very unfortunate because the trauma that results from a forced eviction, not the people that were stubbornly not adhering to the court order, there are children and other people involved in these things. So as sad as that story could be, I think there is a lesson to be learned about the responsibility of adults and citizens when there is a court order to comply with the order, because to not comply with the court order, obviously the sheriff can execute, but you have much bigger risk. And that's obviously contempt of court. You know about that Orlando eviction that we've done, that we struggled with for so long. And I mean, that lady is serving a 2-year jail sentence. Like, she's still in jail. She's not getting out because of contempt of court, because of stubborn refusal to comply with the court order. So a silly season in the sense that people do things and think, oh, nobody will evict me this time of the year, or the sheriff probably won't, or it won't happen. The thing is, if there's a court order, we execute, and it's our job. I mean, as officers of the court, I think one of the biggest things for us is to ensure that people comply with court orders, because what else do we do then? We get court orders and just be like, okay, no, to my money, warini. It's an important one. So I added Debbie Downer one for us. It's a pleasure. I do what I can.
But it's actually, so it's interesting. It's interesting something that you said there, because as you're explaining, like, I can just imagine somebody that's never watched the show before going, sure, that's like, you know, attorneys speaking about evictions, Christmas, like, it seems very like we're desensitized. but it's actually quite funny. So obviously everything needs to be seen in context. Number one, we've been doing this for quite a while. So most of the viewers know that we always explain how things work. And now we're speaking obviously about the execution and court orders and being officers of the court and stuff like that. But I mean, the reality behind it is anyone on the flip side wants to ask me, oh, but why does legislation like PI exist, as an example? The reality behind it is if it wasn't for that piece of legislation, old school rules would apply. It's my property, nothing else matters, give it back. And I think, just for people's understanding, when we start speaking about poverty versus stubbornness, poverty, the court would consider. We're not being callous by wanting to enforce a court order over Christmas when there was opportunity where the court had considered, where in fact the courts very often over consider, in my respectful opinion. If an order gets granted, it again within the scope of the work that we do, it's not callous to go, well, you know what, they've had the opportunity and now it is a matter of actually executing a court order. So it's just interesting how everything gets taken into account. I've had many cases where Christmas was taken into account, and that is a reality, but it's something that you kind of have to deal with and not be stubborn about, because if you open up to the court, a judge would consider your circumstances and would make an ample ruling, as opposed to waiting for an order to be granted and now after the fact, trying to wangle out of it.
Yeah,
exactly. We've actually seen a few orders now in the past towards the end of November and early December, orders where the court ordered people to vacate by the end of December, and the court actually, and it was a bunch of different courts, so it's like Gauteng courts and Western Cape everywhere, where the court said, we'll give until the end of December, but we can only send the sheriff, say for instance, the 10th of Jan, thereabouts. So to your point, the court is so extremely careful, especially when there are minor children and disabled people. I mean, all the equity groups, but especially minor children.
Yeah,
the court's
absolutely.
so extremely careful with that, but that's and I think that's exactly the point. That's why it's important to, by the time there is an eviction order against you, to appreciate the fact that the chances that it's going to be executed is very, very, very high.
Absolutely. Yeah, so true. Yeah. And I suppose the second round of questions I'm suspecting is what the overview of 2022.
I like it. Let's do it. You can begin.
Sure. So from a very technical perspective, so I'm not speaking about myself now, the business, or things like that, like how did the business go. More if we look at, because no one cares, no viewer is actually going to watch this show and care about what I say, but from the property we can go off there and discuss that later. But it's been good, don't worry. No, so from a industry perspective, I'm finding that the interest rate hikes have had an immense impact. They've been very sudden, which I suppose was inevitable. We should have foreseen this coming, but unfortunately people didn't stress test the deals that they were getting into and the bonds that they were getting. By not stress testing, number one, now they're at a point where they can't afford it anymore. I am, from an investor perspective, I am disappointed that there wasn't enough testing, because I would have said the investors at the current rate, it should have already been stress tested at this rate. So there shouldn't have been any surprise, especially considering that we're going like pre-COVID, pre-COVID rates, which isn't unsurprising, right? Homeowners slightly different, because remember, obviously there's not less educated, but less informed rather. So you're not in the industry. So you go out, people say, oh, you can get a fantastic interest rate. Kind of disappointed that maybe the banks, although some banks do claim to have stress tested the affordability at a higher rate. I can't say whether that's true or not. In any case, so overview 2023, we're seeing that the market's turning a little bit. There are going to be a lot of properties in the market. How they get to market is yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of auctioneers contacting me now. You know, sale and execution guys getting ready. I don't know if that's not a bit ambitious, because we all know that the process to get into the sale and execution is a lot harder than what it used to be. Sorry, my alarm just went off, so I'll wrap up quickly. Yeah, so it's not what it used to be, but at some point in time, you're going to see in 2023, the market is going to get a lot of properties. There are going to be a lot of opportunities for our property investors out there. The estate agents are probably going to be able to get a few decent mandates. So for the industry as a whole, it looks good from a property practitioner perspective, but as homeowners, it's unfortunate. A lot of people are going to either buy down into a different value bracket, or they're going to start renting, and you can see that already. A lot of people have decided, and it's smart. And if there's any advice I can give in the property side, if you can't afford it, don't try and fight it. Do something else. You don't have to sell. I speak to so many people about alternative ways of leveraging a property to do other things with it. I know guys that will live in a property that costs them 7,000 Rand rent a month, but they happen to own a 3 million Rand property. They've just been smart on how they use it. So you don't have to live in those means to own decent properties and get good returns. You just need to get out of that mindset of, it's a house, I'm going to live in it. It's like, no, it's a business, you can run it, go get another house and go live in that. So yeah, that's kind of my overview where I saw things going 2022, 2023. I'm going to switch off the alarm now.
Okay, Nick, over to you. 2022, and what do you see for 2023?
Yeah, so I think the most exciting thing for me was to see sort of the industry coming back into its own over the course of the year. So there've been a couple of things which you know, both our offices and Bruno's offices have done. The property show came back, which is phenomenal for all of us. And I know the 2023 property show dates have been set up. I also had the privilege of going to the Money Summit, and that was just a different perspective. There was property there, but also a lot of other instruments within the financial industry. And some of the most exciting things are we're seeing the property industry is really trying to bounce itself back after the effects that we've had from COVID. There's very interesting information coming out within the property market. Obviously, we don't have the time to go through all of that, but the Lightstone data surely shows some interesting trends which are going on, particular immigration, which is happening basically from Gauteng to the Western Cape, how people are buying what they're buying. So it's interesting, and we can definitely see the industry is trying to now pick itself up once again. And I still think they're going to be the challenges, as Bruno says, you know, with the interest rate hikes that are coming, the real effects that we're going to feel from that, we're only going to feel in a little bit still. You know, that's still going to come. But it's nice to see that the industry is picking itself up, and we're obviously trying to get our industry thriving and connecting with one another again. So for 2023, that's really where I'm excited to see the property industry and all of the property practitioners, you know, lawyers, whatever the case is, come together again and really try to build up this industry that we, you know, obviously all love, and that's why we're here. That's why we started the podcast. So I'm excited for that.
Absolutely.
That's cool. That's very cool. I think the sentiment I get from the industry as well is extremely positive. Even though things like interest rate hikes, I must say, I see. I actually heard this was. Let me now not say the wrong company. I'll be in trouble for days. Oh yes, Better Bond, definitely. A Better Bond talk at one of the year-end functions for one of the national estate agencies, who said, yes, the interest rate hikes are like a bucket of cold water in the face, except it was an expected thing. It's like, remember people that this was not a Better Bond quote, this is a Cilna thing. Remember those ice bucket challenges? Like, if you stand there with the ice in your hand and you know you're going to dunk this over your head, you can't possibly be that surprised. And that was sort of the interest rate thing. We knew it's going to happen. Nobody can really be that surprised about it. I get that still, even if you saw it coming, an ice bucket challenge is a bit of a surprise. But the message there from Better Bond, I must say, I do agree with. very much, it will obviously create movement in the industry. Again, yes, it might be, to your point, Bruno, because people have to go for something more affordable or whatever, but we're going to see movement. We see movement already in the rental industry, in the rental space, unfortunately. High-ish arrears, but not nearly where we were a year ago. Like, we're much better than what we were a year ago. If you look at the TPN data at this stage, we're looking much better. Yes, there are issues with non-paying tenants, evictions, but that's nothing new. Currently, obviously, flooding right across the country, and for everybody that's been affected by that, or drought for that matter. It's real. It's something very real that we as an industry didn't have to deal with a while back, is natural disasters. It's wild. You go from, hurricanes on the East Rand to massive flooding in places where you normally don't see more than 10 millimeters of rain at a time. So it's wild, and the world is a little upside down, but I think property will always be what it is. We're a different industry in the sense that we are family in a way. We understand each other, and we understand how we work and how all the different role players interact. I mean, the industry is so small, with one player moving from one company to another, or whatever the case might be. Everybody knows about it. Like, it's like a family conversation that we're having. And I do love the fact, Nick, to your point, that everything is opening up again. The property show was awesome, but then I think Reese was my highlight of the year. Private property, really well done there. Reese was absolutely amazing. And I think that just showed us again where we are as an industry. I'm really looking forward to 2023. Nick, you've been there right by my side through 2020. And since the very start of COVID, I've said the next 2 years, 2020 and 2021, is going to be very rough. 2022, we're going to start picking up, and 2023, we're going to go for a home run. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing. 2022 did start picking up. I think 2023, I believe 2023 is going to be absolutely amazing. Remember, it's a pre-election year, so we are going to see credit amnesties. Guys, please, please, please make sure you upload your tenant payment profile data, not blacklistings and stuff. Don't focus on a blacklisting and a judgment. Focus on your payment profile data. Get those uploaded, because that's unaffected by a credit amnesty. We are going to see a credit amnesty towards the end of next year, maybe early 2024 only, depending on what the predicted election dates would be. But remember, we're heading into a pre-election year. Remember, when we go into election year, evictions are much slower. So my advice for the industry going into 2023, pre-election year, focus on non-paying tenants. Act on it as quickly as you can. Don't sit around and think, I'll do an eviction later. Because if we start an eviction towards the end of next year, we're probably only going to be able to execute like after the elections. So keep these things in mind. This is how we know we've been around for long enough, right?
Yeah, so true.
A few evictions around election time, and unfortunately, it does have a massive bearing on everything we do. But I am looking forward to it, and I think 2023 is going to be a magnificently amazing year. Right, taking us into 2024, which is a pretty exciting year in itself.
Sure. Nice one.
Lekker.
Cool.
That's my story.
That's awesome. Well, I suppose then it's now a matter of wishing everyone a very, very happy festive season. For those religious, Merry Christmas. I hope that it's restful. I hope that everyone gets a break, and that we hit the ground running next year. And like Cilna said, if the property industry is expecting a lot of gains, then let's hit it off quick and fast. So yeah, and thanks so much to Nick and Cilna for being around this year, for being on the show, some more than others. And and yeah, I've throughout the year received very positive feedback on the influence of the show. And obviously people are always invited to ask questions, but it has served a huge purpose. I know that people are on our sites and they get a lot of answers from this. So at least there we've given back a little bit. But thanks so much for being there, guys.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you, Bruno.
same to you, Bruno. Like Bruno and Nick, both of you, thank you so much. I mean, I don't think I've done 50% of the webinars, and thank you so much for catching the ball there. But thank you for being there in every single show, Bruno. Really appreciate it. And Nick, thank you so much. You know, I won't be able to live without you as my business partner, but thank you for picking up the ball on this one as well. You've been fantastic this year.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas and be safe.
A man of very few words. Thanks, Nick.
Well,
Agreed.
imagine I'm your partner. He doesn't have
That's-
time.
That's my business partner there.
Sure. Okay. Cool. Awesome.
All right,
Cheers,
everyone.
everyone.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.